Am I the a-hole for suing my ex's children? I, 50 male, got the biggest heartbreak of my life when I found out that my high school sweetheart turned wife cheated on me and that her children Jack, 21 male, and Jill, 21 female, weren't mine. They were 2 years old at the time, but I couldn't handle it, so I left. Because they were born within the marriage, I was legally the father, and resented paying child support because it was basically the government rewarding my ex for her lies. I wanted no contact with the children, but didn't begrudge my mom for still wanting a relationship. But I did stop talking to her for 6 months after she tried to trick me into reconciliation. I only let my mom back in my life after she swore to never betray me again, and with perfect understanding that she would be dead to me if she ever tried again. Later on, I moved on and found a woman who was willing to accept me in spite of my baggage, and we had a wonderful marriage. I was heartbroken the day she died, but pressed on because I knew I had to be there for my children Miranda, 18 female, and Joe, 16 male. I started a business and did fairly well for myself. I never talked about my ex-wife or her kids, so I developed this reputation of being a doting father and successful man. I never bragged about it, but rather it was something that was pushed onto me that I tried to downplay. After my ex's kids turned 18, I double-checked with my lawyers and they said that I was in the clear, didn't have to pay for any support. Jack and Jill reached out to me, wanting contact and requesting financial assistance as they had plans for college. I calmly told them no, and to never contact me again. It even had my lawyer send out a letter explaining that I was free of any more obligation to them. Jack and Jill were both upset and confronted me each on their own way. Jack went to my place of business, yelled about how I was a horrible father who abandoned his children, while Jill went on social media to badmouth me and my business and got many of her friends to write horrible reviews. Their actions hurt my reputation and cost me a lucrative contract, so I decided to file a lawsuit. Turns out, their mom let them believe that I was their dad, and my own mother never thought about setting the record straight. We did another DNA test. First one was done during the divorce, verifying that I'm not their dad, and I now have a case against them. I've yet to receive an apology from Jack or Jill, but their mom is begging me not to continue with the lawsuit. I said I'd only do it if she paid me a specific amount, and when she said she couldn't afford it, I countered that she could if she sold her house. She said that she and her family would have no home, but I don't see how that's my problem, since this was her mess to begin with. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your ex-wife and mother's lies ruined your business and costed you money. I feel sorry for Jack and Jill, but I question their character, since their response to being told no was to try to destroy your life. Agree. Opie paid child support for children who weren't his own for 18 years. I think that the ex is an awful person for doing that to him, along with lying to her own children and inspiring this whole mess. This is the wildest part in my eyes. DNA tests prove they are not your children, and you were still legally obligated to support them for 18 years? If any lawyers see this, can you please confirm that this can actually happen? Not the a-hole. You paid a child support all the years because you had to, and they thank you by ruining everything you've built up. Sue the hell out of the children, and teach them they don't get to expect money from someone just because they believe it's their dad. I second this. They could have asked why. Instead, they went nuclear on you. I don't see why he should not go nuclear back. Not the a-hole. Although this is a horrible situation all around. In the end, I'll say though that the real a-hole is their mother, who should have at some point told them the truth about you. Although I don't think forcing her to sell her house is in anyone's best interest. This is where you become a bit of an a-hole. Something like that is only going to cause you further grief, and it seems like the best thing for you is to just not have these people in your life anymore. You're 100% wrong. She literally cheated on him and as a result had kids that wasn't his. Then she took child support payments from him for 18 years for kids that weren't even his. She could have declined payments like any person with an ounce of a good heart. He shouldn't have ever had to pay. Not a single penny. To top it all off, she made the kids believe that he was the real dad. I honestly believe he deserves every single penny he spent in child support back, and then some for emotional damages to his well-being. They destroyed his business and reputation as a result of their mother's poor actions. He's not an a-hole for anything. I say sue the mother and the kids. I hope this man gets the world because this is such a disturbing situation to be in. This is why I wish more women would face criminal charges for false paternity. It's one thing if a man openly accepts a child as his, even if he knows it's not. But to make a man pay for a child he proved to be fathered by someone else? regardless of marital status, is just evil. It causes imbalances in family planning and paternal destiny. Next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I don't care about my sister finally having a kid? 10 years ago, I, 32 female, was dating Sean, 33 male, when my sister Anna, 34 female, encouraged me to break up with him because we weren't good together. At the time, I was hesitant. But then he cheated on me with this woman he worked with, and I was done. And Anna was the most vocal cheerleader of the whole thing. But then 3 months later, I found out they were dating. I won't lie, I felt betrayed. Not because I particularly care about friends/family dating exes, but more to do with the fact she was so vocal about us not being good together before we knew he cheated. It felt like she wanted him for herself when I looked back. But on top of that, she starts dating the guy who cheated on me. They never meant for me to find out when I did, but once I found out, they were openly together. The girl he cheated with was almost more pissed than me at first, because she thought they were going to be together. It was a mess. But I declared myself done with my sister that day. I did go to their wedding and I did invite her to mine. I had 2 boys she never met, and I knew from family she was struggling to conceive, but I never reached out to support her. 2 months ago, my parents told me she was pregnant and wanted to invite me to her baby shower. But they wanted to talk to me first, so they could explain why it was so important that I put the past to rest and move on. They said our kids deserve to know each other. And this pregnancy has been rough, so her daughter is a true miracle baby and I would be a great aunt if I'm willing. I told them I'm not, and that they need to stop trying to make me move forward in a relationship with her. They told me she's having a baby, and this could be great for me. I told them I don't care if she's having a kid or not. I don't want no part of their lives. My parents just told me I am dead wrong for that, because their kid is innocent. It is family blood, it deserves to have her family want her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Family is blood? Then why didn't they handle her when she did what she did? They're just guilt-tripping you. Exactly. Not the a-hole. OP, next time they come at you with that BS, tell them that they chose her over you. And if they harass you anymore, you'll be happy to cut them out of your children's lives. And seriously, consider doing this anyway, because family that backs up a woman who steals her sister's man is toxic. And you don't want that around your kids. Part of me suspects the sister and the ex had an emotional affair, at the very least, before he cheated with someone else as well. Or that they planned it so that they would have an excuse of, but we weren't together when you two were. Not today, home. Reproducing should not be used as a get-out-of-jail card. Am I right to assume that the child is also a product of the guy who cheated on you? Or did she move on to some other guy? She's still with my ex. That just makes it worse, because both of the people who betrayed you are trying to get you to celebrate their betrayal, because often babies are seen as somehow legitimizing what they did to you. No, thanks. That definitely solidifies not day home. Not day home. Innocent kids are everywhere. There isn't anything special about your sisters. Plus, you can't have a relationship with the kids without a healthy relationship with the parents, and that just doesn't sound like it is feasible. Given that you don't seem to be missing anything about not knowing their kids, I'd say keep on doing things your way. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my mom's engagement ring to my stepbrother because he's not family? My mom died when I, 27 male, was 9, and my dad got married some time after. His wife had 3 other kids, so it was definitely a major adjustment. Me and her son, Ben, 28 male, shared my tiny cramped room all our teen years. And it was rough. We didn't get along at all, and it was a relief moving out when I started uni and never looked back. The only person I stayed in contact with was my dad and my older brother, 35 male, but our relationship with our dad is a bit strained for many other reasons, aside from how he handled everything back then. I've only seen them a handful of times over the years. Last time was at my dad's for his birthday over a month ago, where I was told Ben has a girlfriend that has been with for 5 years, and that he wants to propose. Then my dad says it would be a beautiful gift if I gave him my mom's engagement that she specifically left to us. It was my grandma's ring, which was given to my dad when he wanted to propose to her. That's a thing my family has done, and so that's why he thinks it would be a nice thing to continue on since now he's ready to get married. I told them both no, not just because Ben isn't one of my mom's kids, but I want to keep the engagement ring to propose to a future girlfriend. My brother doesn't believe in getting married, so that's why the ring was passed to me. It was always meant to be used by one of us. I gave these reasons along with the fact it's part of a family tradition on my mom's side. Ben got pretty mad, and so did my dad, because he says Ben is my brother, therefore part of the family and the tradition. I said no, he's not. He is someone I had to be roommates with Tex as teenager, but we're not family. The story would be different if it was my brother who wanted to use it because we're actually family. My brother agreed with that too. My dad hasn't left me alone about it. Ben has only bothered me a few times about it, and so has my dad's wife. Basically, they think I'm being an a-hole. Since this would be a meaningful gift as a way for me to finally consider him my family, it is a nice tradition for the new generation. It is not like Ben is short on money to buy his own engagement ring. Seems to be that they really want to push this, because it's part of the tradition on my mom's side, which I don't get why he needs to be part of, much less take my mom's engagement ring. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. At all. Why do these people think they have a right to your property? Is he going to give it back if you wanted to get engaged someday? Let them start their own traditions. Maybe stepmother can give Ben her ring. Ben never had any relationship to Opie's mom. He didn't even know her. I find it so gross to take away the ring from somebody else's dead mother. At the engagement, the dialogue will be like, Ben, this ring is really special. It belonged to the dead mother. Fiancé, but your mother still lives. Ben, I never said it was my dead mother. Where's the sentimental value? I guess Ben just don't want to spend money on a new ring. This. As the woman receiving the ring, I would feel guilty, knowing I took it away from someone for whom it would have real emotional value. It's creepy to receive the ring of a dead woman who never wanted me to have it, but who intended it for the wife of her son. Creepy, cheap, entitled. Not a-hole. Put that ring under lock and key. I don't trust them. Clear not a-hole. You said it yourself. The ring was meant for either you or your brother to use. Your mom's intentions were clear. Even if you didn't plan on getting married, it's a keepsake that was gifted to you by your mom, a woman your stepbrother never knew as a parent. It's cruel of your dad to be pushing this when he knows you were planning on using it. They don't have the right to demand to be included in family tradition when it means taking something so meaningful away from you. It's your ring to propose with. Not a-hole. This has nothing to do with your stepbrother or, frankly, your father. The ring was left to you and your brother by your mother, who I assume never even met your stepbrother. So, apart from anything else, if you gave it away, you wouldn't be following her last wishes. It's very weird how the rest of your family seem to think they can co-opt another family's traditions and possessions simply because your stepmother married your father, who wasn't even part of the family with the tradition until he married into it. Very strange. And honestly, I'd want nothing to do with any of them. Personally, I would sit your father down, or write him a letter, and reiterate everything you've said previously, but stress that you will not be changing your mind on this. And if he continues to push this, then he will damage your relationship further. If he continues to harass you, then it might be the time for a period of no contact. It's mostly my dad and Ben, my dad's wife a couple times. But yeah, I don't get it either. It's a beautiful ring, that's for sure, but I can't see why he can't buy one of his own. They seem to care that it's a family heirloom and he's family. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out of my house and exposing her to the whole family? My 26 female, sister 35 female, lost her home due to her husband's gambling. They practically lost everything and were forced to eviction. Our parents had always preferred my sister way more, as she's a perfect child. Perfect husband, perfect house, perfect career. She's a doctor, and thus she came to me for help. She cried and begged to please let her stay here with me, and not to tell anything to our parents until she was divorced. I did, because I know how mean they can be. My boyfriend and I own a 2-bedroom apartment. The guest room that's rather small, and our room that's a lot bigger and has an ensuite bathroom with a bathtub. This is important. My boyfriend is currently staying with his parents in Texas, so I have the whole house to myself. We talked about it and we agreed to let my sister use the guest room and pay minimum rent for a few months. Everything was fine at first, until a few weeks ago when we had some problems with the bathroom my sister uses and she had to use mine. When she found out I had a bathtub, she was thrilled and said why I didn't say anything before. And I just told her because it was my personal bathroom and I didn't have to. The problem got fixed in 2 days, but every once in a while she asked me to use my bathtub. I said yes a few times, until she just stopped asking and began to go into my bath every time she wanted. She then tried to leave her products there until one day I found her sleeping in my bed. I woke her up and told her to get out, but she said that it wasn't fair that I had a better room with a better bath and everything, that she was a doctor, deserved the room way more, and that the best thing was to move to the small room and let her have it. I was mad. I couldn't believe that she was in my house trying to rule over me. I told her that this wasn't just my house, but my boyfriend's too, that she had to get her things and leave. She said I was overreacting, and I told her that, yes, sure, but I know how these things usually are, and I don't plan to have it her way. She said that she didn't have anywhere else to go, and I told her, too bad. She had to come clean to my parents and is currently staying there, and now they are mad at me for kicking her out and forcing her to embarrass herself in front of them, and that I owe her my house for free as long as she wants. Not today, Hole. You welcomed your sibling into your home and just wanted basic decency, and she trampled all over your boundaries. She deserves what she gets, to be honest. Of course they are mad at you. You're the scapegoat, and she's the golden child. This will never change no matter what you do. So stop trying with any of them, and start distancing yourself. They are toxic, and you need to live a happy, healthy life. A 35-year-old doctor can afford to stay on her own. What an entitled person. Perhaps not. Her ex probably damaged her credit beyond belief. Doesn't excuse one single ounce of her behavior towards Opie, though. Not today, Ho, and laughing out loud at your sister. Did she really say I deserved a better room because I'm a doctor and you're not? Or words to that effect? That's one for the Guinness World Records of entitlement. Am I the a-hole for humiliating my aunt by saying I never dated her son? My mother's longtime best friend has been my aunt for as long as I can remember. When I was 16, she moved near us and her son started attending my school. From day one, he seemed to think he was dating me. My aunt and my mother both pressed on about how sweet it would be if we were victorious childhood friends. When we didn't date in high school and I went to college, this chatter went away. The truth is, I barely know this guy. We played together on beach vacations as little kids because we were the only kids in a group of buzzed adults. He wasn't even a great playmate. As we got older, it was more and more apparent to at least me that he had some sort of issue. My own theory, albeit this is an armchair theory, is that he is autistic and hasn't gotten any therapy or treatment to help him navigate the world. Anyway, my mom had a barbecue a few weekends ago, and I came with my boyfriend. My aunt then came with her son. After my boyfriend and I sat down, my aunt came over and asked who my friend was. I explained he was my new boyfriend. She sighed and asked how I could do this to her son. My response was along the lines of, "What?" Then she launched into how she understood we were on a break. But showing up at a party with my revenge guy was a low blow, especially since everyone knew we'd get back together. And it wasn't fair to my flavor of the month to pretend like I was available, and she knew how hung up I was on her son. I know this sounds insane the way I put it, but she seemed so genuine that it was very convincing, and my boyfriend was visibly shocked. I had no idea where this came from, so I said, "Auntie, Sonny and I have never dated." I took him to one casual dance as a kindness. I don't know what he's told you about our relationship, but the reality is, we just say hi on Facebook sometimes. She accused me of saving face in front of my boyfriend. He laughed, and I freaked out. I told her, very loudly, that this is crazy, that I'm not, and never have dated her son. That is really, truly, and utterly undateable. I don't know a single girl who would date this boy. She had just assumed that I'd go along with this crazy narrative that would somehow insulate her from dealing with that reality, but I wasn't going to. Then I left, and was lucky enough to catch my boyfriend before he left, so I had to ride home. She and my mother sent me emails explaining that she was humiliated in front of her longtime friends, that I had no business saying that in public to her. I can see now that it would have been better to pull her into the kitchen or the house and explain this to her, since I now think it's possible her son was feeding her lines and she was really shocked, and I did say some harsh things. But in that case, didn't she owe me a trip to the kitchen to call me out on my infidelity? Edit. Some people have said that I was screaming that my aunt's son was undateable. I did not scream, and in fact, several people at the party didn't even know there was a commotion. While I was loud, We were also close to a table full of the sorority sisters that make up my mom and my aunt's friend group. Also, he really is undateable. I've tried to help him set up profiles, and I've even tried to set him up on a date with a few of my friends who I think might really get along with him, but it's been a disaster. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole. She also could have pulled you aside to talk to you privately if her son was truly telling her lies. Instead, she tried to catch you in front of your boyfriend and the rest of the family. Always a great point. Why is it these a-holes get to start trouble and then claim it was wrong to confront them in public? Just wow. Not an a-hole. You may have taken it a bit too far by proclaiming that her son was utterly undateable, but she has some nerve to say you humiliated her after she accused you of cheating in front of your boyfriend. Yeah, saying it was really, truly, utterly undateable, and I don't know a single girl who would date this boy, is a lot. And probably inappropriate. But she shouldn't have continued to push it after you said that you and Sonny had never dated. Lol, what? Not an a-hole. She is openly trying to sabotage your relationship doing this, because in her mind you're somehow betrothed to her son. Even if the kid wasn't autistic, you're not interested. And this isn't the Middle Ages where you arrange marriages. In her culture, arranged marriages happen, and the kids just go along with it in a lot of cases. I do wonder if, in her world, we were going to sow wild oats and then follow the script. Next story. Am I the a-hole for purposefully sending my cousin the wrong timing for a movie so the others could enjoy? My 16 female brother Nate, 17 male, was diagnosed with intermittent explosive disorder when he was 12. At first I walked in eggshells around him, but things are much better now. Most family members know and understand that IED is not just tantrums but a serious issue. Some do not. And one of my cousins, Kira, 17 female, is one of those people. Ever since my parents informed the family about Nate's being diagnosed, she has done nothing but intentionally pushes buttons at every family gathering, outing, or whenever we are together. My parents have talked to my uncle and aunt about this, but they brush it off calling it pranks. Now, my parents will not under any cost damage relations with my dad's brother and his family or my dad's other siblings, but none of my other cousins like Kira or her family. We are forced to be cordial because of our parents, and Kira has to be invited every time us cousins hang out together, most of the time ending with Nate being triggered by Kira. The day before yesterday, we all planned to watch a movie. Our parents knew this, so of course they told Kira's parents had told her. She messaged me and asked me where and when we were supposed to meet at. My brother had been really looking forward to this movie and meeting our cousins after a few months in person. He had also been in a really good mood, and I didn't want Kira to ruin it. So I did what I thought was best at the time. I gave her the wrong timing. I told my cousins and Nate what I did, and they were fully on board. After the movie finished, we came out of the theater and waited for some time in the parking lot. As soon as we saw Kira pulling over, waving at us, all of us waved back with the sweetest smiles, made a run for our cars, got in, and left. As expected, when me and Nate reached home, we were immediately ambushed by our parents about why we abandoned Kira. Apparently, she had cried all the way home. My parents grounded me and Nate for 2 weeks. He surprisingly took it well and said it was worth it. The rest of my cousins were grounded as well. I did text them telling them they could tell their parents it was my idea, but my cousins refused and reiterated what my brother had said. I thought that was the end of it, but my parents have been really hurt by this and said me and Nate humiliated them in front of Kira's parents and that Kira has been inconsolable since. So Reddit. I don't know. Am I the a-hole? Edit. So, a lot of people are wondering why I invited her rather than telling her outright not to come. I didn't invite her. My parents did. Also, if I tried to deny the invitation, then none of my aunts or uncles or my parents would have let us go. I do see how waiting around may have been an a-hole move. Not an a-hole. She can dish it, but she can't take it? Tell your uncle and aunt it was just a prank, and you don't understand why they are overreacting. They don't mind when their own child pranks others, so what's the problem? I normally not want to reply to petty with petty, but God, this needs to be the top answer for once. Opie, please, please, please do this. It's really not petty. What Opie did was an actual prank. What the cousin does to Opie's brother is emotional warfare. Not a-hole. Your parents are huge a-holes for allowing your brother to be tormented, just because they they want to keep the peace. They would rather their child suffer than their lives get affected in the slightest. Not a-hole. If anything, your parents should see this as an eye-opener that when Kira intentionally messed around with Nate, no one seemed to take it seriously. However, when you guys give Kira a little taste of her own medicine and pranked her, now it's serious? Not a-hole. Does Kira prank all of you or just Nate? The fact that your entire family puts up with Kira's crap is why she keeps doing it. They're enablers. Keep doing what you all are doing. Maybe the grown-ups will finally get the message. It's just Nate, as we all have learned to ignore her. Nate is the only one she can get to react because of the IED. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for pointing out my aunt has a favorite kid at a family dinner? My aunt Mara, 45 female, has 2 kids. Reese, 13 female, and Laura, 9 female. Mara's always clearly preferred Laura. Reese always knew it too. My aunt always makes sure Laura can do the extracurriculars she wants to do. She lets her drop out anytime, even if she's paid in advance. She gives her the birthday she wants every year, and in general, she's more affectionate and interested in what Laura's up to. But with Reese, she pushed her into dance when she was 5, and made her do dance for 4 years. Reese never liked dancing. It never seemed to fit in, and Mara hated it. She would ask her why she couldn't put more effort in, etc. That she had always wanted a daughter who did dance. I, 18 female, was around there a lot because Aunt Mara babysat me for my parents while they worked, and then I just had to wait at her house until my parents got home so we could save on electric bills and stuff. I once asked Aunt Mara why Reese couldn't do something she wanted to do, and she told me they didn't have the money for it. Reese never got to do another one, but Laura's several. Soccer, dance, art, and swim right now. But she's also done basketball, photography, gymnastics, which really upsets Reese because she always wanted to do gymnastics, guitar, piano, drums, and singing. And Mara also discards Reese's plans and has made her cancel to look after her sister, but also made Reese skip her plans when Laura has them and they conflict. In the last year and a half, Reese has just decided to say screw everyone. She's definitely weighed down by it all. We talk about it, because she said I'm the only one who acknowledges it. But I have definitely noticed. We were all gathered for a family dinner Sunday. It was my grandparents' birthday this week, so the family decided to celebrate Sunday. And Reese was in a really bad mood. Aunt Mara told her she was bringing down the mood, and Reese got up and left the table. Aunt Mara said she didn't know what was up with her, but that she's always acting like the whole world is out to get her. So I mentioned that maybe if she didn't show such blatant favoritism, Reese would be happier. My aunt and parents were pissed that I would bring it up, and my grandparents asked what I meant. Aunt Mara said I didn't know what I was talking about, and Reese is such a drama queen. I told my grandparents what I meant, and they were shocked. Aunt Mara said Reese never wanted to do anything, but Grandma remembered how often Reese would ask to do gymnastics. My parents told me it wasn't the correct time or place to bring it up, and I embarrassed Aunt Mara. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. My parents told me it wasn't the correct time or place to bring it up, and I embarrassed Aunt Mara. Not the a-hole. Your aunt's behavior is what embarrassed her, and it's going to have done so regardless when you brought it up. The fact that Opie's parents were okay with a child being treated that way is even more concerning. Opie is not the a-hole, but her parents obviously relied on Mara a lot for childcare and were in no position to criticize her. Opie's parents were very poor according to her description. She hung out at Aunt's house in order to save electricity at her own home. So it's unlikely they had any other childcare options. Common sense says don't put someone on blast when you desperately need their help. Welcome to the world of the working poor. Sometimes you have to eat crap to put food on the table. The problem here is Aunt. Good for Opie for sticking up for cousin, but she has nothing to lose here. So it's not a reflection on the character of her own parents that they never said anything. They may not even have known given that they seem to work a lot. They owe the aunt a lot for providing years of free childcare and are not going to attack her, deserved or not. Your aunt disgusts me. You're not the a-hole, and my heart goes out to Reese. Not the a-hole. If she was embarrassed, she probably does it knowingly, knows it is looked down upon but still doesn't change a thing. Good for you for standing up for your cousin. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for keeping all my recently deceased grandfather's paintings? About 10 years ago, my grandfather was diagnosed with dementia. One of the activities his doctor suggested was that he do paint by numbers kits as a form of mental exercise. So pretty much everyone in my family would get him a kit for his birthday or Christmas. He would give the family member back the completed painting when it was done if they wanted it. The thing is, most sets were pretty generic landscapes or things like that. Well, one day while looking online, I came across a site that made custom sets from photographs you submitted. These were quite a bit more expensive than the kits from the craft store, but I figured my grandfather would enjoy painting things that had meaning to him. The first set I got him was a set of the wedding day for him and my grandmother. Over the years, I got him sets of family portraits, their house, and other things that had meaning to him. Whenever he finished one, the next time I visited he made sure to return it to me. When he died and the family was talking about the funeral, I suggested that we display some of his paintings at the viewing, turn it into a mini art show because everyone in my family knew about his proficiency with paint by numbers. Turns out that over the years, most of my family had gotten rid of most of the paintings he did, so when I brought in my paintings, everyone was blown away by them. The paintings quickly turned into a topic of conversation at the viewing, with certain aunts and uncles trying to claim various paintings for themselves. After the funeral, there was a small get-together at my grandfather's house for just a close family. The paintings came up there again. My aunts and uncles told me that I should share all the paintings with them and my cousins, so they would all have something to remember him by, and that's what he would have wanted. I responded back that they could have kept the paintings I gave them, and they were special to me as well. One of my aunts called me a selfish a-hole for wanting to keep all the paintings. So, am I the a-hole for not sharing the paintings with my other family members? Edit. To clear up a few things I see in the comments, my grandmother died about 4 months ago. We think Grandpa was only hanging on for her. The company got the kits from is no longer in business. It was a small mom-and-pop place, but they sell similar kits. Just have to do a Google search. I'd given 2 of the paintings to my dad before my grandpa passed. They were a painting of my grandfather and my dad and I just after I was born, and a painting of my grandfather in his fishing gear. My dad took him fishing every week up to when he died. I don't know if my family knew about the costume kits. They would be open in family situation, but I don't know if anyone paid any more attention than the other pair of numbers kit. Not the a-hole. If they wanted them, they should have kept theirs in the first place. We don't owe them anything. Plus, Opie was the one who went out of their way to do the extra thoughtful step of getting the personalized painting options for him. An extra reason to not share them. Not the a-hole. And if they knew he was working on these when he was alive, they could have asked Opie where they got personalized paint by numbers from, and had him paint their favorite photos while he was still alive. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Asking for the paintings is understandable because they are grieving, but attacking you when you refused is not acceptable. They had the opportunity to treasure his work while he was alive, and chose not to. Also, great idea getting custom kits. There is a possibility that they are grieving and feel guilty about throwing the paintings out, and that is why they are lashing out at Opie. They could also be entitled a-holes. Opie, may I suggest you take high-quality photos of the images and put together some kind of PowerPoint or even book to send your family? Maybe a good Christmas gift. If you can get your hands on a decent enough scan, you may even be able to blow the photos up to 8x10s, or even larger to hand out to family members. This way you get to keep something important, but appease them to an extent. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents I'm going to be as big a problem as my sister from now on? I, 17 female, am the responsible kid according to my parents. I have 2 siblings, 14 female and 11 male, and my brother and I get along because we're both pretty quiet and easygoing. But my sister is a complete witch, to put it frank. She throws a fit whenever she doesn't get her way, and usually my parents just give in because she's a big pain to deal with for days. She always has to be the center of attention, and she causes problems to get attention when she's not. Gets really freaking old. I drive them to school and pick them up now, and our mom gave me money to get us fast food for dinner, since she and my dad have a work thing and won't be home till late in the evening. My sister likes McDonald's, but I hate it. And we always eat what she wants. So I say we're going to Sonic, because I know my brother likes their food and so do I. My sister insists we go to McDonald's, and I told her I'm driving, so I decide where we go. And both me and brother are tired of McDonald's, and she can shut up and deal. She starts screaming at me, tries to call our parents and doesn't get an answer, and eventually sulks and refuses to order food. I get an extra pack of chicken in case she changes her mind, and take us home. She has a screaming, crying fit to our parents later about it. Over freaking McDonald's! Later, my mom says I know how she gets, and to just humor her next time. And I say I'm not going to anymore. And also, it's awful that she gets her way all the time, and they need to tell her to can it and make her do stuff me and my brother like sometimes, or leave her at home. My mom says she's difficult and we're more easygoing. So I say, so you're saying I'm too nice and I need to be difficult to get what I want? Assignment understood. I'm going to be as much of a problem as I can from now on. Then I started not doing any more chores than she does. None. Using some of her more irritating phrases to the parents and loudly complaining about anything she wants to do. And now I'm the bad guy and being mean, and they say I need to be the mature example. But also it kinda worked, cause they finally made her go to the restaurants we like and never get to go to. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It seems your parents are neighbors. And though I don't really recommend your course of action, it seems to work. It also stopped doing things for the sister. Can you pick her up? Nope. She's going to scream and cry about some arbitrary thing, so she can figure out her own way home. Here's money for food. Not for her. She'll scream and cry if she doesn't get what she wants. So give her money so she can sort it out herself, while brother and I get food. Can you take the trash out? No, I feel that I just enable her as that is her chore, not mine. If you're not holding her to her chores, why should you hold me to mine? Anyway, don't become hated by your parents and kicked out because you're taking a stand. Get a job, make money, study, whatever you do, and move out and go low/no contact with your sister, unless she suddenly stops being spoiled. I agree about not recommending this course of action, despite how satisfying it is. Just because Opie is 17 and approaching an age where her parents can kick her out, or refuse to pay for college, etc. Definitely recommend moving out if it's an option, but at that age, it's not possible for a lot of people. And Opie shouldn't burn bridges that she might need, and soon. They won't kick her out. Who would they get to do free babysitting and chores? That's what I'm worried about, specifically the chores part. Opie has her brother. Are all of the chores they aren't doing being pushed into him? Babysitting won't happen, but chores? Those I can see being pushed. Real chores don't start till 12 in my family, so he only has to make up his bed and clean up his room. But he's on strike now too. Not stay home. Bravo. Your parents failed on raising your sister and you and your brother suffered. Now your parents can deal with the fallout of their bad parenting. I'm glad Opie's nearly an adult, but I'm sad for her brother. Parents deal with the fallout certainly, but they always have that unconditional parental love to lean on when it is hard. Little man better hope middle sister attends an out-of-state college. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my brother christen my new home's bathroom? This has been happening since yesterday. I'm pretty sure I'm not the a-hole, but my family has me doubting myself. Anyway, my husband, 31 male and I, 28 female, just bought a house several days ago. It's really exciting. We've been living in his apartment for the past year, which has been fine, but I'm really looking forward to having something that's truly ours. As you might guess, my family has been excited too. After we closed the deal, we went out to dinner with my mom and dad and one of my brothers. Let's call him Kyle, 30 male. Kyle has a story about him. Apparently, when we all moved into our first house when I was about 4 and he was 6, Kyle was sick. And almost immediately after moving into the home, went to the bathroom and took an absolutely nasty dump on the toilet. Afterwards, my mother turned to my dad and said, "Well, at least someone christened the bathroom." That's it. That's the whole story. I've never found it particularly hilarious or anything. It's just one of those stories that your parents like to tell every few months, and you smile and nod along. Kyle, on the other hand, absolutely loves the story. Ever since then, whenever somebody in the family moves into a new home, Kyle insists on christening their bathroom. He did it when I moved into my apartment. He did it when our eldest brother moved into his home. And I'm certain he did it when he moved into his own apartment. My parents also find it pretty funny that he continues to do this. At dinner, Kyle made a comment about looking forward to christening the bathroom at myself and my husband's home. My husband obviously had no idea what this meant, and my parents had Kyle explained it to him. After hearing the story, he muttered something, and then quickly moved the conversation along. Later that night, he told me in no uncertain terms that he thought it was a bizarre tradition, and he did not want to take part in it. Even though I personally don't care either way, I find it stupid but harmless. It's a perfectly reasonable opinion to have, so I agreed with him. I was talking to my mom last night, and when we discussed the dinner we'd had, she brought up telling my husband about the tradition. I told her that we would not be letting Kyle christen our bathroom, and she tried to persuade me otherwise. I said no. I thought that was that, but since yesterday, she, my dad, and Kyle have all been texting me that I should follow the family tradition. I texted my eldest brother though, and he said I should stand my ground, and obviously my husband agrees with that. I don't really plan on changing my mind about this. But guys, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. No family traditions should involve fecal matter. Tell your brother that you feel bad for him that the highlights in his life is taking a dump in someone else's house. Also, to your family that they have no better stories than a child taking a dump. Their whole traditions involve turd. Congrats. Not the a-hole. This is a bizarre tradition. And honestly, why have your parents encouraged it for so long? Kinda cute when he's 6, not when he's an adult. If he wants to be the first to christen your bathroom, he can also be the first to clean it. And as a way to discourage this, I wouldn't have any toilet paper in the bathroom the first time your brother is over. Then maybe it won't be so much fun for him. Better have no towels in there either, or brother will find it funny to expand the tradition. Just tell your family someone already used the bathroom after you got the keys. There, it's christened. I don't mind toilet humor, but this tradition is disgusting. Not the a-hole. LMAO. This is the best AITA in a while. Not the a-hole. Sometimes traditions need to die. I remember as a kid, my brothers and I had a mini competition to be the first to do things in our new house. And it was all ridiculous things, like first to climb out of the basement window into the backyard, and first to spit on a flower patch. It was like some of the Guinness Book of World Records things that make you wonder why anyone would bother to keep track of that. I can't imagine trying to turn it into a tradition that I spit on a flower patch of every home my family lives in, because I'm not a 9-year-old anymore. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for threatening to ban my cousin from living at my vacation house after how she treated my daughter? My 42 female cousin, 40 female, sometimes stay in mine and my husband's vacation home, which is like an hour away from our town. My mother also lives there regularly. Sometimes my mother will take my daughter in the vacation home during the time periods when my daughter has no school. My daughter is 12. My cousin has 2 daughters as well, one 9-year-old and another one 3-year-old. This time my cousin stayed at the vacation house during Christmas period. Due to mine and my husband's work schedule, we couldn't have time off during Christmas. So my daughter went to stay there with my mom and my cousin and her kids. Recently, we started talking summer plans, and my daughter said she doesn't want to go to the vacation home if my cousin and her kids are also there during summer. After I asked her to explain, my daughter told me that my cousin would always yell at her and force her to babysit the kids so she could smoke, watch TV, or be on her phone. She would also ban my daughter from doing her interests. My daughter loves gaming, and we've got her first gaming PC, which she brought with her on the vacation house. My cousin apparently banned my daughter from playing at her PC because she's giving a bad example to her kids, and that as long as she's around, my daughter is not allowed to play games. My daughter also told me that one night she was watching Lord of the Rings, and my cousin's oldest daughter saw some scenes, got scared and started crying, and that night my cousin forced my daughter to give her the DVDs of the movie and banned her from watching TV or movies without her permission. I confronted my mom and asked her why she didn't do anything about any of this, and she said she wasn't aware because my cousin probably did all these when mom would not be present. I have a hard time believing that, but my mom apologized both to me and my daughter. I called my cousin and cussed her off for how she treated my daughter. And I reminded her that she's only a guest at a house I and my husband own. And it's also my daughter's house. And she's got no rights bossing around my daughter. She apologized at first, but then defended herself, saying that as an adult, she's also responsible for my daughter and she did what she thought was best. My husband and I decided to give her one more chance, but told her she'll be banned from being a guest if she does this again. My mom and her called us the a-holes and said we should just accept the apology she gave instead of threatening to ban her. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole for what you said to your mom and your cousin, but you would be the a-hole if you subject this on your daughter again. You are being far too lenient, giving her another chance. I don't plan to. Their reaction showed me that I should never leave my daughter on their watch again, and it's also a decision my daughter made and voiced. Let's be honest. Your cousin didn't apologize to you or your daughter. She apologized that you were angry with her, then justified what she did. Your daughter can't use your vacation property because of your cousin's mistreatment. That alone, the fact you decided you can't trust them, means they shouldn't have access at all. Not stay home. If she's not planning on continuing the behavior, she shouldn't be mad at the fact she'll be banned if she does it again. That's exactly what I told her after. That I only mentioned she'll be banned if my daughter tells me she pulled something like this again. Her argument on that was that I can't always rely on my daughter's words without hearing the other side first as well. I suggest adding in-home security cameras. If there is an issue or something, you can see it for yourself. Not stay home. Your house, your rules. Does cousin or mom pay any of the house expenses? Power? Water? Gas? Internet? If they don't, then they are both guests and need to be reminded of that. They can call you an a-hole all they like, but in the end, you have the final say on who stays. Most of the expenses of the house are paid by my husband and I. My cousin only pays for her personal groceries alone whenever she's a guest. My mom will pay a small share of water and electricity bills for the time she might stay there, but majority is covered by my husband and I. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my brother's fiancé the truth? I, 21 female, have an older brother, 29 male, who has been divorced twice. It is about to get married to his fiancé of 2 years, 26 female, and she has a party celebrating the fact that she got engaged a few days ago. I was invited, but my brother wasn't, since she wanted to have a little party with her friends, and since she wanted to bond with me, her future sister-in-law, she also invited me. So I started chatting with her and her friends, and later in the night we started to get a little tipsy. Then suddenly she started to talk about my brother, stating that she couldn't believe that he never got married before since he is such a handsome man. But it didn't make sense that she said that, since he was divorced twice and one of his former wives had a child with him. Then she started to talk about him, saying things that wasn't true, like the fact that he was a lawyer when he worked at a hotel as a janitor, and that he was making $150,000 a year when he was making minimum wage. At this point, I was shocked because of how all the things she was talking about was untrue, so I asked and told her this, and she said it was my brother. I was confused as of why he said that, but I knew that before in his previous marriages that he had verbally mistreated his wife, so I knew either way I could not let this slide. I brought her to the bathroom upstairs and told her everything, and I mean everything. She looked shocked, and after I finished telling her, she went downstairs, got her stuff, and said she felt sick and left. The next day comes around and my phone was blown up with messages, missed calls, and DMs from my family and brother about what happened. It turns out that after she left, she went to her house, where my brother was at a time, confronted him and broke up with my brother, then kicked him out. My family and brother are calling me an insensitive witch and a home wrecker. I don't feel bad about telling her the truth, but I do feel bad about ruining his engagement. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You saved that girl's life. She deserved to know who she'd agreed to marry. Also, what did the brother think was going to happen? If you tell someone lies, but don't tell people who know the truth about lies, they're likely to out your lies whether they mean to or not. It's pretty hard to afford a lawyer's lifestyle on a minimum wage janitorial position, so she was bound to find out the truth pretty quickly anyway, soon after the wedding. Exactly, the lies weren't sustainable. She would have found out sooner or later. And all Opie did was ensure that it was soon enough for her to make an informed decision. Wait, so your brother, a janitor who makes minimum wage, nothing wrong with that, lied to his fiancée about his previous 2 marriages, a child and overinflated his wealth by a factor of 10? And they're witching at you for letting her know. Yeah, not stay home. Don't forget he said he was a lawyer too. Like, what is the endgame here? It's kind of hard to hide the fact that A, he is not a lawyer, B, he is a janitor. You see, he's been married twice and has a kid. I guess that one's easier if he has no contact. But you'd have to rely on everyone you know not to blab. Does he think that the truth will eventually come out, but she's so smitten with him that she'll overlook everything? And seriously though, either he's a really good liar, or she's really gullible if she didn't know any of that. How could he hide that stuff and for how long? Am I the a-hole for telling my younger sister I'm not her parent and don't owe her anything? I, 23 female, have 2 younger siblings. My sister is 16 and my brother is 14. When my parents had my sister, they approached my being a sibling as a job, and they stuck with that story for the rest of my childhood. They said it was my job to teach them things, to look out for them, look after them when needed. Then it was to help with homework, walk home from school and walk to friends' houses when they wanted to go. Then it was my job to plan and take them out for sibling time. It would be my job to always have space and time for them whenever they needed it. That, as the big sister, I owe them that, and my siblings were more than happy with it. When I lived at home, they always demanded my time or attention. I had to help with homework every day. And most of it is regular sibling stuff, but they came to expect me to drop everything for them the way a parent might. Like if they were struggling and I was in the middle of my homework, I had to stop doing mine to help with theirs. If I had plans and they wanted to go someplace, I had to cancel my plans. It's my parents' fault. But more than once, I tried talking to them about how I deserve to have my life and do my own thing too. And then I moved out, and I would get calls all the time from my family about it. Over time, my brother stopped, and our relationship got a bit easier. But my sister never changed. She would call and tell me she wanted to stay the weekend with me, or she wanted me to take her to a concert, or that mom and dad told her I was supposed to take her shopping, or that she saw something in the store and I had to buy it for her. I told her twice in the last 2 years that I was not going to drop everything and do what she wanted, and she needed to get better at asking for the stuff. When I spoke to my parents, they said it was my obligation as a big sister to do these things, so they were no help. Now, my sister got invited to some fake prom with her boyfriend because prom wasn't going ahead in her school this year. She calls and tells me she needs me to take her dress shopping, that she knows the dress she wants and everything, and that I need to bring $300. I tell her no. She ignores me and tells me they want to stay at my place after this prom, and that I need to give her a key to my place to make it easier. I cut her off and tell her no, that none of this is happening. She whines, and I tell her whining won't change it. She then tells me it's not fair, and that I owe her this. I snapped. I told her I am not her parent, and I don't owe her a damn thing. That she does not get to make demands of me because I'm older, because this is not some job like our parents always said. And if she can't accept that, then she needs to stop calling me. I'm the a-hole in this according to my parents and sister. Parents read me the right act, or started to, but I hung up. They are still pissed 5 weeks later. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your parents, on the other hand, are. Look up parentification. They dropped their responsibility onto you. Your sister unfortunately has had this normalized for her, and this is still more on your parents than her. But she needs to have her eyes opened, and you giving her the truth on that is good for her and not being an a-hole. Exactly. Not an a-hole. Your sister needs to wake up and realize that technically she owes you, not you owing her. She needs to realize that what your parents did is not okay, and it may be best to go no contact with them all for a while. Your parents and your sister are major a-holes. expecting you to pay $300 on a dress. She's really entitled and should get a job if she wants to spend that much in one dress. You know that you are not an a-hole. Draw the boundaries firmly and don't budge. You've been a third parent for far too long. Sounds like she was the only parent. Not an a-hole at all. But keep in mind that this was a horrible thing your parents did. Your sister simply grew up brainwashed into thinking it was the norm. Sit your sister down and explain everything. From the terrible job your parents did as parents, or lack thereof, and direct your anger and resentment towards the people who actually deserve it. Your sister needs to grow up, but I think that a thorough explanation is the best way to proceed, to see if she understands and hopefully changes. I explained it to her before and nothing changed. She carried on like I had said nothing. Because why change something that works to her benefit? Especially since she knows your parents will always take her side. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for shutting my sister out after she told our mom something I admitted to her in confidence? My sister, 15 female, and I 16 female, lost our dad 8 years ago. 4 years ago, our mom remarried. Her husband came with 2 kids of his own, 11 male and 7 female, and they have a baby together, 4 months old male. I admitted to my sister a while ago that I hadn't been on board when our mom first told us she was getting married again, and that I really only accepted for her, but not for me. I admitted I don't love them or see them the same I see her, mom or dad, and that I will probably always be detached because this is not the way I would have ever chosen my family to me, but I don't want to ruin mom's happiness. I admitted this to her because my sister always suspected. She noticed differences. Remembered how I would always invite her into my bed when she had nightmares, versus not really doing anything like that if one of our step-siblings did. Or how I am affectionate with her, not them or our half-brother. And how I never really tell our mom's husband anything about me like I do mom. And how most stuff comes through her to him. She pressed, and I was honest. I told her not to tell them because it didn't need to be a big deal. She promised she wouldn't. Well, she told our mom. Pretty much everything. And then my mom decided the 3 of us, me, her, and her husband, need family therapy so they can figure out a way to get me to welcome them into my heart the way she wants me to. And now I'm stuck in family therapy with them trying to achieve a goal I don't want to achieve. And I'm so pissed off with my sister. She told me she did it so we could be one big happy family. And I told her she betrayed my trust, and she can never ever expect me to come to her again because I know she won't keep a promise to herself. She was upset. And now she's even more upset because I am not the same with her anymore. The way I look at it is, she broke my trust when I wasn't going to tell her anyway. But then she pushed and then promised to keep it, and she didn't. My mom told me I'm being mean and that my sister did the right thing telling her. She told me I should have been open with her so we could have done therapy together sooner. I told her I never wanted to go to therapy with them, and I didn't want this big deal being made out of it. She told me that regardless, I shouldn't shut my sister out, and it's hurtful and mean. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your mother and your sister are for trying to force something. Take a try therapy and see if you can find a happy spot for you. And if it doesn't work, you need to show your mother that if she didn't realize for over 4 years, it means that you are respectful to the rest of your family, and you have preferences, and that isn't a bad thing. That's basically always been my plan. I would feel how I feel, but I treat them with respect and I never plan to tell anyone. I wish I hadn't now. I'm so freaking pissed about it now. I can't even trust my own sister. Make sure you say these things in therapy too. Might as well if they're forcing you to go. Let them know they have the basic level of respect from you and always will. Obviously they didn't notice for however long, so what's the difference now? And you were absolutely betrayed by your sister. Trust was broken, and now your mother can't even trust that you know your feelings better than them. Yes, the therapist needs to understand the whole picture here, how Opie's confidence was betrayed, and that's what led them to therapy. Because it sure sounds like her behavior was acceptable since mom and stepdad didn't suspect anything. So why are they there? If I were OP, I'd tell the therapist that, and maybe on the 3rd session just say in a monotone, I accept them into my heart. All good now? But I'm petty. Not the a-hole, but be honest in therapy. The therapist may be able to set your mom straight about not being able to force family feelings. No a-holes here. You're 16 and your sister is 15. I'm not going to insult your intelligence or maturity by pointing out how young you both are, but please keep that in mind. You sound mature for your age, and your sister sounds like a 15-year-old trying to understand the dynamic of what's going on and looked to her big sister. She was misguided and wrong for what she did, but not malicious. Your anger isn't wrong or not warranted, but use that advanced maturity for some perspective. Your mom and stepdad or whatever, deal with the therapy, but be clear that you don't want to be there. Your sister, on the other hand, deserves a hug and a talk about how you and her are a team and need to have each other's back. She didn't do something to hurt you. She thought with her 15-year-old brain that she was actually helping. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my sister for stealing? My little sister, 16, has had her fair share of behavior issues throughout the past few years. She doesn't keep up with school, lies, and was diagnosed with depression and anxiety, along with everyone else in our family. Since the beginning of this year, her behavior has gotten worse. She's been frequently lying and doctoring stories, as well as doing illegal activities in and out of the house with zero consequences. A few weeks ago, she had called me and told me along with everyone else in family that she had bought me tickets to my favorite artist's concert in the fall. I obviously questioned it and kept telling her not to lie to me, but she insisted it was true, so I got very excited. 2 weeks. I later noticed that she kept buying very expensive items, such as a PC, new shoes, makeup, more electronics, etc., but I figured it was because she got a new job and was making better money. For the more expensive items like the PC, she told me it was a gift from a family member for her birthday, which was the week prior. She even went as far as to fake a phone call with said family member to thank them for such a wonderful gift. While she was having the time of her life, I was on a completely different path. A week before her birthday, my car's engine blew. I should note that I'm a college student who works minimum wage, and it would have been out of my price range to even try to afford a new engine, so the car got towed. I was devastated. My parents and my grandma decided to help me by getting some money together, about $6,000, and give it to me to buy a new car. About a week after I noticed my sister was buying these expensive products, I finally found my dream car. My parents and I went to grab the money from our safe to go and buy the car, when we realized about $3,000 was missing from the envelopes we put together. My dad immediately checked my little sister's bank account to find a $1,200 deposit via ATM that week. We also found receipts from purchases that she made with the remaining cash. When we confronted my sister, she said she didn't know why she took the money. I was, and still am, devastated that my own blood would steal from me. But my parents, more so my dad whose sister did the same thing, wants me to forgive her because she's apologized for it. I told him hell no, and that she has yet to apologize to me, and that I have no intentions in having her in my life when she's acting like this. My dad says she's going through a tough time and needs our help. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I want to add that as soon as my parents found out, we took her to return as much as we could. They were also devastated. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. She stole from you, hasn't even apologized or offered an explanation, and your dad is expecting you to just forgive her and move on? Has she replaced the money she stole? If they still have the receipts, they should make her return the stuff she bought, and then they could get some of the money back. But what do you want to bet their dad won't make her since she's going through a hard time? Not the a-hole. When your father continues to baby your sister, he is going to get even worse results. Sister needs to be put on a repayment plan, either through getting a job, chores, or some other way to pay off her debt. You have no reason to continue to enable a thief. This girl is on a path to stealing from someone who will either have her charged or will want their own revenge. You don't have to tolerate or forgive her for lying, stealing, etc. And yes, you can decide you don't want her in your life, especially if her behavior doesn't improve. If your dad wants to try to mend bridges, he should start by having her pay back the money she took and apologize directly to you. Telling you to forgive her without having her put in the work of making amends is pretty bad parenting in my opinion, and only sets her up to being able to continue acting like this because there's no consequences, it sounds like. Did your parents punish her at all? They're both in a state of shock and they blame themselves. I don't know that they didn't hold a gun to her head and make her steal things. They stripped her room down to a bed, a dresser, and a light. Then they took her phone for a couple days and made her return everything she could. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for not giving my siblings half-sister a birthday gift? I, 18 female, have 2 half-siblings from my mom's former marriage. When my mom was married to their dad, he cheated and got another woman pregnant, resulting in their half-sister. Mom and her ex stayed together for 4 more years, but my mom ultimately couldn't get over it and they divorced last year. I always knew what the situation was and never bonded with her half-sister. So after my mom and her ex separated, my relationship with her was all but done. Of course, I expect to see her for certain things, but you know. Her birthday was a couple of weeks ago, and my half-sibling's dad got all pissed because I didn't give her anything. But she knows I get my siblings gifts. It seems they have brought stuff from moms to their dads, and have talked about the stuff I get them around her, and she was upset. He decided to call me up and tell me what I did was horrible. That to her, I am her sister, and I should have made more of an effort to be part of her life. That I should love her, but at the very least, I should be willing to send her gifts for her birthday and Christmas. I told him to buzz off. That his daughter has nothing to do with me, and I don't need to do anything. He raged at my mom then because I refused and cursed at him. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your only connection to this child is your former stepfather. How is this even an expectation on his part? If the child had been born after he and your mom divorced and wasn't the result of an affair while they were married, would he still expect you to give her gifts? He needs to GTFO with that nonsense. I know you meant your question rhetorically, but any dude willing to call his ex-stepdaughter to demand a gift for his affair child probably would demand a gift in other mind-blowing situations. He's just that awful. Not the a-hole. Does she give you gifts? You're not related to her at all. There is a connection, but it is not a family connection. It is on her parents to manage her expectations and make her realize that while her siblings have a connection with you, she does not. She cannot expect everyone she knows to give her gifts. Also, does your stepdad or even a child's mother still give the OP birthday and Christmas gifts? Seems like entitled people asking for ridiculous things. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. Having exactly one parent in common is one thing. It has sparked many discussions and all manner of disputes. Having 0 parents in common is another thing. Sure, you giving gifts to her would be a remarkably generous gesture, but she has 0 standing to expect them from you. Not the a-hole. Not your infidelity, not your problem. Nobody can demand that you have a relationship with somebody. My sister has a half-brother, and while we are cordial, we don't ever exchange gifts or anything. We're not siblings.